The iPhone 5S was an innovative release, but the iPhone 6 delivered bigger changes in design, display, battery, cellular, and additional features. The iPhone 5S delivered bigger improvements in terms of the camera and the processor, and it was very innovative, but it wasn't as big a change as the iPhone 6 was, so I will be comparing the iPhone 6's upgrade against the 5's upgrade instead of the 5S's upgrade against the 5's upgrade. So behind these, I have a dimension sheet, which says the dimensions for the iPhone 4S, the iPhone 5, and the iPhone 6. The iPhone 5S had the same dimensions as the iPhone 5. So the iPhone 4S was 115.5 millimeters tall. iPhone 5 was taller, 123.8 millimeters. And the iPhone 6 was even taller, 138.1 millimeters. The iPhone 4S and 5 were both 58.6 millimeters wide, but the 6 was 67 millimeters wide. The 4S was 9.3 millimeters thick. The 5 was 7.6 millimeters thick, and the 6 was 6.9 millimeters thick. The weight has also gone down from the 4S to the 5 at 140 grams to 112 grams, but then risen again with the 6 to 129 grams. There has been a redesign across both of these phones. With the iPhone 5, the biggest part change is the color, with a slate color instead of a silver color on the antenna going around the phone. The iPhone 5 looks much more continuous, with being black on all sides. Unfortunately, this had problems with dusts and scuffing, so the 5S had to change it, and this change is still in the 6. The iPhone 5 also introduces aluminum in the middle of the phone, but the 6 makes it the entire back of the phone aluminum. It also has a much more curved design, redesigned volume buttons, the sleep-wake button moved from the top to the side, and the camera now protrudes. The iPhone 6 does move the headphone jack from the top to the bottom. The iPhone 5 has a redesigned speaker and microphone from the 4S, so you can see. The iPhone 6 has a slight redesign, but not as big as the 5's redesign of these speakers. iPhone 6 was a bigger redesign than the 5. Let's look at the displays on these phones. The iPhone 4S's display has a 3:2 aspect ratio and a size of 3.5 inches. The iPhone 5 has a widescreen display at 4 inches. It's the same width, but it is taller. And the 6 has a much bigger display, 4.7 inches, still widescreen. So with the 4S to the 5, you see an increase in resolution from 640 by 960 to 640 by 1136. But from the 5 to the 6, you see an increase in resolution from 640 by 1136 to 750 by 1334. The pixel density is the same across all of these. The iPhone 5 and 4S both have a contrast ratio of 800 to 1, but the 6 has a contrast ratio of 1300 to 1. Also has dual domain pixels, which makes the phone better for wide-angle viewing. The camera on all of these phones are different. The iPhone 5 introduces a sapphire crystal lens, which lets the picture be clearer. But the iPhone 6 introduces focus pixels and doubles the frame rates for 1080p to 60 frames per second and 720p to 240 frames per second, making it a bigger update in the rear-facing camera. But on the front-facing camera, the 5 sees an increase in resolution from a VGA camera to 720p at 1.2 megapixels, and the 6 stays at the resolution but introduces burst mode, allowing you to take 10 pictures in 1 second. So the 5 is a bigger improvement in the front-facing camera, and it is tied as far as the cameras are. The iPhone 4S has the Apple A6 processor, dual core, 800 megahertz, 512 megabytes of RAM, the iPhone 5S. The iPhone 5 has the Apple A6 1.3 gigahertz, 1 gigabyte of RAM, dual core. The iPhone 6 goes from 1.3 gigahertz, 64-bit introduced in the 5S to 1.4 gigahertz, 1 gigabyte of RAM, dual core. There is a bigger increase in processing performance from the 4S to the 5. Audio has stayed at 40 hours from the 4S to the 5, but increased to 50 hours from the 5S to the 6. Same with video, stayed at 10 hours from the 4S to the 5, but increased from 10 hours from the 5S to 11 on the 6. 3G talk time stayed 8 hours on the 5, but increased from 10 to 14 hours on the 6. 3G browsing increased on the 5 by 2 hours, and again by 2 hours on the 6. Wi-Fi has increased by 1 hour on the 5, 1 hour on the 6. Standby has increased by 25 hours on the 5, but stayed the same on the 6. But clearly, there is a bigger change in the battery from the 5S to the 6 than from the 4S to the 5. In terms of cellular, the 5 was a bigger upgrade. It introduced 4G LTE, and with the 6, introduced VoLTE, but that is not as big an improvement as in introducing 4G LTE. In terms of additional features, the iPhone 6 is a bigger improvement. The iPhone 6 introduces Apple Pay and a better Touch ID. So, overall, again, I pick the 6 as a winner. Not that the 5 was a minor upgrade. Again, it was a big upgrade, but the 6 was bigger.